So also a warm welcome from my side. Thanks for attending the session, and I hope you can get a glance of how we tackled the issue that in financial services, basically, we are highly regulated and we have usually a huge time pressure, especially when we talk about delivery data for month-end processing, quarter processing, half-year processing, or even yearly processing. And we thought, or we realized over the time, that the system is, per definition, becoming always slower. And we wanted to address this issue by introducing an agent, an AI topic, to help us to identify as early as possible as we can such anomalies and such issues. So, having said that as a small introduction, I will briefly explain you, who the bank is, basically in which environment we are working, and to see that you also get a glimpse of it. Then also the problems we have, the issues we identified, and then going really deep down to the countermeasures at the end, how we try to approach the topic. Then we have a brief look on how we define data and use the data observability capabilities, and also showing you some examples, I think, to visualize it. That always helps to see, what, and gives you an idea and a glimpse what you maybe can do as well. And last but not least, the advantages we saw out of that, and also our benefits, and what is maybe missing on the slides is, where we see the future and in which direction we would like to head with this topic. Good, so basically from Raiffeisen Bank International, we are more or less the biggest bank in Austria, located in Vienna, and we operate mostly in Austria and in the Central Eastern European countries. So that means Croatia, Serbia, Hungary, Romania, Ukraine. And we talk about roughly 1.5 million customers, and most of them companies, and we talk about roughly 50,000 employees based in all those subsidiaries. When we look into our data warehouse, so the data warehouse was designed to be the central data integration platform of the bank. So basically, we receive the data from roughly 40 head office systems and hundreds of subsidiaries across the whole region. So that means we get daily data, for example, from the Ukraine. We also get daily data from Croatia, for example. And our job is really to integrate them and to transport this data to our consumers, which are usually the business departments of finance, of regulatory, and risk. And so basically, due to the fact, and also from historical reasons, we are the central warehouse. We are also the biggest investments the bank did into our IT asset. And the warehouse is live since 2014 and constantly growing. What we also did in the last couple of years is we started our cloud journey. So since February 2024, we are fully in the cloud by a lift and shift approach from on-prem. So that means we did not change anything. We just more or less copied everything what we had on-prem into the cloud. So when we talk about data processing, integration, providing the data to our consumers, we talk about 3 billion records for Ultimo processing, and also roughly about 60,000 ETL jobs. And they are highly interconnected, dependent, so that means we really have to plan and hope that everybody is delivering them on time, so that we also keep our timelines. And when we had a closer look, it always starts basically with the complaint, why are so slow? why you don't keep your SLAs, and it was always a nice excuse for other departments. I did not get my data in time from the data warehouse, so I also cannot hold my timeline. So starting with that, we said, okay, let's have a look at our priority 1 delivery obligations. Where are we? And then we realized, okay, we are roughly only at 60% in time compared to the SLA. Of course, this could mean now we are only 1 minute late, or we are several hours late. This is not considered here. We just said, okay, this is the time where we have to deliver, and we did not manage. And for all the other delivery obligations, it was even worse. We were about 50%. And we said, this we really need to address. So basically what's happening over the time is that we come from an on-prem world. And in the on-prem world, usually you buy a system, estimate the size about the data growth for the upcoming years. So that means usually in year 1, you don't have a performance issue because the size of the machine is big enough to cover everything. When it comes to year 2, it started getting a little bit interesting because you're starting, okay, we come closer maybe to the borders of the system. And for sure in the last year of the contract, you hit them. And you have to invent something and make sure that you survive. Because it's not that easy in the on-prem world to scale up. So you have to order new machines. This helps us now in the cloud, but nevertheless, I strongly believe, and we are also committed, that infrastructure and hardware will not solve all of your problems. It's really, really important that we also provide good quality software on top of that. So we force the developers that they understand the system and they create really, really good code. Yeah, and this is what happened basically to us in 2022. So we have quite unstable situations all over the world. And in 2022, I think you all remember when the war between Russia and the Ukraine started, our data volumes tripled within a day, more or less. Because then the colleagues from the Ukraine were forced to deliver the data daily, instead of monthly. And as I said, the on-prem machine was not prepared for that. So, what did we do? We had quite some experience also from the past with AI. So we introduced 2017 our first AI project in the data warehouse called data anomaly detection. We wanted to make sure that the data we get from our data providers meet certain quality criteria. And whenever we see outliers, we want to report and approach them as soon as possible. And having this in mind, we thought, okay, let's take this idea and maybe we also can use it for watching our system overall performance. So, and when we had a closer look, we said, okay, what we have to look at? And then we came up with 5 big groups so that we say, okay, we talk about skewing of jobs and tables. We want to identify outliers in CPU and I/O consumption. We really want to fast pinpoint and nail down the problem where it occurs. Because all of this, at the end of the day, lead to increased processing time where we did not meet our SLAs. And I had to write regular reports and attending in escalation meetings, always ask the question, why are you so slow, what is not working, please speed up, and so on and so forth. And what we also would like to have, we want to see a trend analysis of the behavior of the system. This is really important to see. It's clear if the job increases by 0.1% in the consumption, it's nothing. But if you have this daily over 6 months, then you end up at roughly 2 to 3%. And if you prolong this, then you will maybe hit the mark where it's getting a problem. And this we would like to see or address as early as possible. And that's why we have introduced the thingy. The next step, what we took was, okay, to look around, okay, what do we have? What can we use? First option is we use our implemented concept, but we pretty fast realized if we apply to that kind of things, it will take us roughly 1.5 man-years to be there. So that's why we said, okay, let's look a little bit on the market. And we were quite lucky to find a startup called Digna AI, where they could say, okay, we can support you with that. And we said, okay, let's do a POC with that, because we need the results now and fast. We need to prove also to our senior management that we are capable of doing that and can address the issues. And what we did actually, we just used all the information we anyway have in the warehouse. So each job is writing starting time, end time, consumptions, each job group, each part. Yeah? So we all have this information. We just did not use it properly. Actually, we did not use it at all. And this is what we wanted to change. And putting this into AI-driven models and starting analysis out of that, this was the way where we wanted to go and to show everything and be there to reduce the amount of investigating time, yeah? Because 60,000 jobs you cannot do manually. It's impossible. So you have to have a good overview, okay, where I have my problem areas. And even only by visualizing the thingy, not even having a further analysis, helped us a lot to understand where we have the real issues. Good. Having a closer look and data observability and how it works. So basically, what we did is we used Autometrics. So we profiled our data over the time, captured the key metrics for the analysis. Based on that, we created unsupervised models with machine learning algorithms to learn and to predict also the future and going also for trend analysis. And last but not least, auto thresholds. So basically, the algorithms self-adjusting the thresholds in case it's needed, but nevertheless always keep an eye on outliers and also create early warnings out of that and to identify deviations. So, and what you see now is, I know it's not the fanciest graphs what I'm showing you now, but nevertheless I think it's really important that you get a little bit of an idea what did we find. So I just would like to present you some example. Yeah? Classically one, we had a CPU spike. Yeah? Maybe it's also good to know that in our data warehouse, we have monthly releases, yeah, which is quite a lot for a data warehouse. So every month, put the new functionalities, new jobs, and so on, and this can always cause an issue, or bad data quality even. Yeah? So where then we hit some borders and we really want to address it immediately, and what you see here, we ran the load, we checked it immediately, we found out, okay, we have the spike, we had a look at the job group, and then we addressed and approached the right people to help us with that. Could be a system DBA, or could be a business analyst to rework the job, or also because many things are generated on our end, that we also review the tools we use for the job generation, for the code generation, that we have a bug there. We also could identify this with that. The second example, and this is here you also see it a little bit better when we talk about the thresholds. So CPU increases. From time to time it happens, but you have to address and tackle this. And what you see here, the green part, this is usually where we say, okay, it's still okay. We don't need to have a closer look. The system is running smooth and fine. When we come to the yellow part and we use the signals from the traffic in Europe, so red, orange, yellow, and green. So this maybe is becoming a problem in the near or long future. So please be aware that it's maybe worth to investigate. And of course, the red ones, and I took those examples also to show it on purpose, that you can see it. The red ones, we have an issue now, and we have to react immediately. Also a nice example where we said, interesting. So we had a case where within 3 months we had an I/O increase by 700%. Yeah, it's a really nice surprise, and usually you don't look at this. You somehow deliver, close late, okay, it's not worth to investigate, and it's not true. It's definitely worth to invest and investigate what is the root cause of this. Another example, yeah, we monitored the perm space, also showing peaks, what we can do, and define the countermeasures together with the business analysts, with our developers, and also with the system DBAs. So what is the result out of all those things? Usually we create a Jira ticket, assign it to the relevant people, and they follow up and do the countermeasures on that so that we get it fixed. Skewing, already mentioned before. This is the underlying graph to it. So we exactly know which job, which table causes the problem immediately. And based on that, the analysis is also much, much faster than in the past because it's already pre-analyzed. And by having that, you save a significant amount of time because you don't start from scratch all the time. And believe me, the job's behaving differently. It's not that you say, okay, it's always this job. No, from release to release, in our experience, it's always something different. And this you really need to tackle and to have a fast answer to that. Yeah, unused statistics. So this can slow you down enormously in the overall processing. I know sometimes when you see this now on a slide, it looks very easy and simple. But to identify this without a proper tooling and a proper set, it's really difficult to get to the point. The solution is quite easy, and this is what I said. It was even an eye-opener for us to visualize it, to see, okay, this is the problem. The resolution is in many cases pretty fast to tackle the problem, but just to create the awareness that we have an issue. This is the really, really important thing out of that. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview, and I know the layout of the slides is not the best, but I think the message is the important thing. We have now our operational stability fully under control. We have the awareness. So the service manager is coming in the morning, and in my case, I'm really lucky. I have a service manager who wants to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. The first thing what he's going to do is checking those boards and identify, did we have in the night an issue in our daily processing? And if yes, he starts addressing the people basically, and they have a closer look on the problem, meaning informing the developers, informing the DBAs, and even the business analysts to tackle this. So, what is the advantages? We have now really a daily analysis of our system, plus alerting mechanisms, and we can really look over time periods to see how everything is evolving. And this is a real game changer for us to be on time, and I think the figures below speak for itself. So our priority 1 deliveries, meaning this has board attention in our case. Those are the most critical business processes in the bank, we are at 100%. We delivered each and every priority 1 delivery in 2025 on time. When we look at the other ones, we increased by more than 30% on time. I had to create those slides, I think in July or end of June. In the meanwhile, a quarter later, we are beyond 90%. So we exactly know what are the problems in our system, and we also know how to tackle them. And basically, what are the benefits? First of all, yes, we are achieving our KPIs. And you all know BCBS 239, ARDA, all these regulations, yeah, going for data quality, timeliness, accuracy, all those things, yeah. And you have to prove that you have your data flows under control. And this is a very, very good towards this. For me personal, I have much more time because I'm not invited to escalation meetings anymore. Basically, I don't need to fill out reports, basically, where I have to explain why we are late. I don't have to come up with action plans for countermeasures. So we can really focus on let's be the best we are and let's do our job. So all this administrative stuff is gone. And actually, I heard it during the day, yeah. I don't sleep better, but I still sleep good. So, but it relieves quite a pressure at the end. And also it removes pressure from our business departments. Because if we are late, they get the data later and they cannot do their duties. So that increases the pressure on their side. Also the fact is nice to say, okay guys, we are on time, so you have enough time to do your job. And if you do not meet your timelines, maybe you should have a look into your systems. And by the way, we have maybe a nice tool for you, which can help you on that. But this is really important so that it's also stressless for our successors, yeah, who gets the data, because we are most of the time, or to 99%, designed for machine-to-machine communication, end-to-end. So we provide the data to further business applications, not to end users. We also have a much, much better life when we talk about, talk with the regulator. So that means in the fines which we had or we got from the past, they are not here anymore when it comes to our processes, yeah, I have to admit. but we are gone from that. And the next is for me also very, very, very important thingy, and this is coming back to the quality of the development of the people. So we foster a performance-oriented mindset also with our developers. We show them, look, this is the design, not utilizing Teradata and supporting the platform. But here is the solution to that. So please, in similar cases, please apply this pattern so that we actively also educate all our people and create the awareness to that. We also detected quite early, even in the testing phase, some architectural and design issues, which is also good to detect and not hit in production, because we introduced a huge, big new consumer interface and we realized, oh, there is a problem which we did not detect in the standard basically test cases, because usually when we test the system, we use only a couple of days to check, okay, is everything running. But when you hit the system with a year of data or even more, then again, sometimes it behaves different. And this is we also wanted to address. And yeah, last but not least, that we utilize our underlying platform, Teradata, as best as we can. Even if despite the fact we are in the cloud. Yeah? We still want to use what we get and what we pay for to the 100% of extent.